Is that the one I gave you, Missy, to recycle?
Oh, maybe.
From last time?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Pass it on. Some part that can help, but you'll know.
Is there a real workbook or real budget anywhere? Because there never was last year.
Well, I have an electronic version. I wonder why they didn't put any hard copies in your mail.
Well, same. We didn't have one for 15 either.
The City of Vandalia Council meeting will now come to order on February the 15th, 2016. We always have a moment of reflection, and that's followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, you've had the opportunity to review the minutes of our council workshop of February the 1st and also our council meeting, our council meeting minutes of February the 1st. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, they'll stand approved. We have no communication petitions or awards this evening, nor do we have any public hearings, and that brings us to comments from interested citizens. And that is, if there's anyone in our audience who would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and make your comment. Would you please come on up here, and like I said, we would appreciate your name and your address for our records.
My name is Harry Campbell. I live at 627 Co Avenue, which is on the other side of the railroad tracks. In 1963, David Lewis Saback graduated from high school here at Vandalia. And March 6, 1966, he passed away in Vietnam due to a leg injury. And I had a banner made up. And it'll be 50 years March the 6th when he's passed away, and I'd like for the city to present it, put it up somewhere, if they'd like to.
That's very kind of you. Would it be appropriate for you to open it?
Sure.
Because we are videotaping, and it might be of interest to those who are watching.
It's kind of big.
It is. Okay. And you made this?
You need some help? I had it made. Please.
Oh, you had?
Thank you, sir. I think I got it right side up.
Yep.
Well.
Oh. Oh, that's very nice.
Yes.
Very, very nice.
Dave's graduation picture.
Thank you so much. Could
That's what I was trying to figure out where we could put them. Any of them, so.
Thank you, sir. You're very welcome.
Thank you again
Sure.
so much.
You want this?
Yeah, let's put it in there. Oh, wait a minute, I can just put it here in the box. That'll be fine. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And we will find a place for that. Oh, good. Is there anyone else who would like to make comment this evening?
Ma'am, I'm here for another issue on the agenda already.
Okay, fine. Thank you. With that, we will go on to the city manager's report, and we have no information items, nor do we have any action items tonight, and no old business. That brings us to our first resolution, Resolution 16-R-12. By title only, please.
Resolution 16R12, a resolution waiving the formal bidding requirement and authorizing certain services from DH Productions during the 2016 calendar year.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. The city utilizes DH Productions for the taping and editing of its Focus Vandalia and By the Way videos. Because the cost of these services exceeds $10,000, council authorization of this contract is required.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 16-R-12 as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Farce, second by Vice Mayor Lewis, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-12 as presented. Any comments from council? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. I was looking at the resolution number.
6.
6.
Oh, 6-0, that's right. Councilman Herbst isn't here. We go to the second resolution, 16-R-13, by title only, please.
Resolution 16R13, a resolution approving a future land use amendment to the comprehensive plan by designating future land use categories for 217 parcels generally located north of Little York Road, south of I-70, and east of I-75 to the city limit.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. A 1,500-acre tract of land was annexed in 1988, encompassing all property in the city south of I-70. The various land use plans that have been adopted over the years have included much of this territory. However, many areas, while currently zoned, were left without a future land use designation. Therefore, the city has undertaken a review of this area, and this proposed future land use amendment is focused on about 643 acres as detailed on the maps that were provided to council. Now remember, the future land use map is not a rezoning map, is not a zoning map and does not affect the current zoning of property. The future land use map serves as a guide for a planning commission and city council when considering future rezoning requests. The proposed future land use map amendment suggests the inclusion and update of the 643 acres, which consists of about 220 parcels, which are generally located east of I-75, south of I-70, and then north of Little York Road. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed future land use map amendment at its January 26 meeting and unanimously recommended approval.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 16-R-13.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Councilman Gerhard, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-13. Any comments from council? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. Resolution 16-R-14, by title only, please.
Resolution 16R14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Nimers and Woody LLC regarding the purchase of additional land in Stonequarry Crossing in order to retain existing employment and provide opportunity for future employment in the city.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Nimers and Woody LLC, or a Manufactured Assemblies Corporation, has submitted a real estate purchase and sale agreement for 9.5 acres in Stonequarry Crossings at a cost of $25,000 per acre. The subject property is located west of Mac's existing facility. The northern 5.5 acres of this property is under option with Blue Diamond Real Estate Holdings, which is independent can. Under the terms of that option agreement, Blue Diamond has 30 days from the date they are notified of Mac's offer to exercise its option. And if Blue Diamond fails to exercise its option, the city can terminate that option and Nimers and Woody would purchase the entire 9.5 acres. However, if Blue Diamond exercises its option and chooses to purchase that 5.5 acres, then the property being sold to Nimers and Woody would be reduced to 4 acres.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 16-R-14.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ehlers, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-14. Comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 6-0. We have no ordinances in their first reading, nor any ordinances in their second reading, nor any ordinances as emergency, and that brings us to reports from boards and commissions. with a variance request for a roof-mounted solar panels at 2310 Tadmor. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, OGW Energy Resources, again, has requested a variance to allow a roof-mounted solar panel on the south side facing roof at 23 Tadmor within 18 inches of a ridge or valley where a distance of 3 feet is required. Ms. Holloway's staff report provided details of the applicant's rationale for the variance as well as the BZA's findings as it related to those arguments. The BZA reviewed this variance request at its January 27th meeting and recommended denial of the variance. Council did discuss this request at its February 1st study session, and they have directed staff to review the city's solar panel regulations for possible amendment.
Thank you. I do know that the applicants and the representative is here in the audience, and I know that you were at our workshop. Was there anything that you wanted to say this evening?
Can I approach here?
Certainly, yes, but we need your name and address, please.
My name is Ray Davis. I'm president of OGW Energy Resources, and I filed the variance on behalf of the Baker family. A couple of statements. First statement is the BZA, the recommendation from staff at the BZA meeting was that the variance be denied based on the fact that the modules could be put in a different location. We scientifically disproved that it would not produce anywhere near the amount of energy on the south-facing roof, yet it was still denied. Also want to make a statement that somebody that was at the BZA who had a hand in making the decision should have recused himself during that time. Bob Stallman works for DP&L Incorporated. DP&L is a direct partner of OGW Energy Resources. Every drop of energy that comes out of the solar array would be in direct competition from what DP&L would be doing. If I was in that position, I would have recused myself. DP&L is also in the business of putting solar arrays up, so they're a direct competitor to my business. From a safety standpoint, I understand Ms. Holloway had a conversation with the Vandalia chief. The Vandalia chief said there was nothing wrong with the variance. He didn't have an issue with it. I'm paraphrasing. I talked to neighboring fire departments, and from a safety standpoint, nobody had an issue with the variance that I was asking for. In fact, one of them told me that that's where an entry point is. That's the garage. We wouldn't put a ladder and access at that point anyway. So every step along the way, when we've looked at every issue that a variance needs to be passed for, the criterion for a variance, we've presented information that I believe should have the variance passed. Lastly, there was a letter that was given by some of the neighbors of the Baker family. The last statement of the letter states that we've lost a lot of trees to disease. Council should know that if they deny the variance, it's equivalent to 148 trees. You would be saying no to 148 trees being planted. That's the equivalent of that. And I would like council to know that because it's not in any of the information that we presented. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, okay.
Your Honor, my name is Minot Gilliard, and I live at 2239 Settlers Trail. And I realize I probably can do nothing about the solar panels being installed on the roof of the Baker's house. They have a lovely home, and I'm sure this is a very good thing to do. But I was at the last meeting we had, not your council meeting, but with Ms. Holloway, and in application section D, subsection 4, says the variance would not alter the neighborhood as the home is not visible from the crossroad and the south roof is not visible from any neighbor due to the size of the lot and woods in between homes. If I could, this is the view outside my window. I have a triple slider and a kitchen window in the back of my house. And I just think the variance was misrepresented. I mean, you all can approve the panels. I mean, I know Jim and Jamie But right now, I was sitting at home yesterday, and I'm thinking if the sun's out, I don't know if you're going to be able to put a non-glare glass, but I'm guessing regardless of what you use, there will be some glare. It's going to come right into my window with the 45 angle of that roof. I mean, I'm not God's gift to math, but I did pretty well in geometry and physics. And I just hate to see me have to put up with that. And I am one of those people who I lost most of the trees in my yard due to the emerald ash borer. And right now, the closest I have to anything between me and the baker's house is honeysuckle, which nobody likes, but that's the closest I have to any kind of privacy fence between the two lots. So I just give you that. I know I can't do anything about the solar panels, but just wanted to make myself heard. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yes.
The solar module is from Mitsubishi. It's a 275 watt module that has a textured glass and it has an anti-reflective coating. We're in the northern hemisphere. The sun tracks to the south. It's a 45-degree angle. With this particular product, there's not going to be glare, and it's not going to be shining in anybody's. It's not going to be shining in anybody's direction. And I can scientifically prove that as well. This is from Google Maps, October. October 2015.
Thank you.
I made the statement at the work meeting that the house is absolutely surrounded by trees. The house is absolutely surrounded by trees. The pictures that were presented by the neighbors, it's during the fall. The leaves aren't there. That's a depiction of what it would look like with the leaves and the trees intact. Jim, have you lost any trees since October? No. So that's a fair depiction of what the residence looks like.
Anyone else like to speak this evening? I'd like council's input on this, but I know that you were at our workshop, and I have to compliment the BZA because they did follow what they were supposed to follow. And we did determine that we would be looking at our, I guess you call them rules, and possibly we're out of date with our rules, and that's why we are having an extensive study made to be presented to us probably at the end of March, so that we may be able to revise them and bring them more up to the current standards and so forth. But they did follow what we have on the books as of right now. So do you recall that discussion?
I recall the discussion.
Yeah, and I think that at that time we said, would it be possible for you to wait until we got that study done before going forward with anything? Because it might be, we cannot guarantee, but it might be that the rules will be updated and they would be more inclusive of your variance request. Would anybody else like to make a comment?
I stated it that night. A variance request does not have the examples that you gave are not reasons to grant a variance request. There's specific guidelines in making that judgment, and BZA looked at those seriously, and this did not fit into that criteria. Though at the same time, we were looking at the reality of the safety and at that time thinking that we needed to reevaluate what our code, the writing of our code. That's what we chose to do rather than granting a variance that did not go along with our code whatsoever. So,
may I? We took two different tracks. One saying the code was antiquated, and we gave proof that the code's antiquated because the federal government's advocating for a different code. We also, at the same time, were trying to get a variance. Every criterion that is set for the variance, we met. In fact, we did. And the conclusion that was given and the recommendation was given was scientifically false, and we proved that as well. and I presented that at the workshop, and I presented that at the BZA. And I would not make light of the fact that somebody at the BZA should have recused himself. They are a direct competitor of ours. We are essentially, because it's an energy backup, energy management system with the solar array, we're essentially creating a power station at the baker's home. That's a direct competition. Every drop of juice, it's in direct
Council
competition.
made the decision also that it did not follow our, it did not fit into a variance request. Council,
We discussed it. We discussed
in our
it.
discussion, that's what I took away from that.
The issue comes down to is, and you brought up a number of salient points, Mr. Davis, and brought up some things for us to think about, but became aware, because I know this is a case of first impression for me in 15 years in terms of solar on one's home, that our code is antiquated. The technology related to solar has changed dramatically, as you had stated and as we've seen in certainly the last 10 years. And it was found by the BZA that it didn't meet our criteria. Now, we're not bound by their decision, but it certainly guides us. But it became apparent that our code is antiquated as it relates to that. If we would grant this variance, then we're going to be in a position where, and it looks to be there was another gentleman there at the meeting who wants to install something very, very similar. It's great. I think we're all in favor of solar power, or certainly the concept, but we want to do it correctly, and we don't want to be forced. We don't want you to have to come back here and ask for a variance for the next customer and the next customer and the next customer. And we want to do something that is in compliance with both the federal and state guidelines and certainly the fire code. And it was made clear that perhaps the issues as related to the fire code were not applicable. So based on all of those things, and most certainly not to further the idea that we're going to have to come back and revisit the issue of variances on this particular code again and again, I think it was, at least during the discussion, we felt that it was a better idea to update our code, and there's no guarantee that that will meet yours and Mr. Baker's project, but I think it'll go a long way to making that happen. He certainly has a property right and interest in allowing him to do something on his property, particularly this, and that's a very strong right, and that's what we're trying to balance that against our code. There's certainly aesthetic issues that come to play, but I understand the technology and the presentation of those panels on a home have changed. It's not what it was 30 years ago. So with all of those things, we need to advance our code, and I think that was the general consensus on council, and we're going to move forward on that basis in an expeditious manner, so that it will hopefully meet much of or many of the requirements that you need in order to do an adequate job in building your project for Mr. Baker. But I think it would be a disservice to our community to move forward and grant a series of variances going forward without addressing the underlying problem. And I think we can do it on an expedited basis and on an educated basis. Ms. Holloway's going to is doing a lot of research on it currently, and we're going to attack the issue
And I would
right now.
also like to add that we do want to encourage green. As we've discussed, and a number of us have even said that, and even said that in the last meeting. We want to encourage it. We don't want to discourage it, because obviously that is the better way to go. And we want to make sure we get it right. And I think this is the way that we can go about doing that. And this is the mechanism. By saying, this isn't going to work, let's scrap that. And then, as Ms. Lewis has already said, that we will expedite this because we understand the need and the wish that you want to get this done soon. And as we've already stated, we know that this is going to be coming. And we want that to happen. Now, to what happened at the BZA, I don't know that we can speak to that at this point. Certainly, we'll take that under advisement. But certainly, we recognize that fact, and we want you to do that. But we want to make sure that it's right for you to be able to do that. So that's why we're following this route.
And we asked for an update on the status of getting information regarding updating our ordinance in our meeting prior to this meeting. As we understand, it's an urgent issue.
Perhaps maybe you can even help advise or give additional information.
City manager said that at our workshop when we were talking. You had made mention that that perhaps I could be involved in
Tap
some
in
of
your
the discussions.
expertise.
I'd welcome that for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we deny the variance request for the roof-mounted solar panels at 2310 Tadmor, as per the memorandum of Ms. Holloway.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Councilman Gerhardt, that we deny the variance request for the roof-mounted solar panels at 2310 Tadmor. Is there any further discussion from council? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion to deny passes 6-0. We have our bill listing for January of 2016 in the amount of $2,728,036.89. Council comments. Mr. McDonald. Mr. Cruzy. Councilwoman Farce.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilman Ehlers.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I would like to, 2 weeks ago, we met at our pre-meeting for our council meeting, and we went over the financials. And as a lot of times in business, what happens is you review things that are very successful. You go over them rather quickly and get to the issues that are problems. But I did want to recognize John, his staff, and all the members of the city of Vandalia that work for the city of Vandalia on the financials they had for the year 2015. We were $1 million over in revenue from the previous year, several $100,000 over our budget, and also likewise similar numbers on the expense area under our expense budget in the previous year to actually bring in more of a profit for the year 2015 than what we had planned. So I thought it was a great year. I think it needs to be recognized as good management expense control, and our economic development, I think, is starting to pay off because the revenue is starting to come in much quicker than in the past. So thank you, Shaq, for that also. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Blakesley?
Yes, I'd just like to thank staff for Saturday's retreat or workshop, and it was very educational. And I think the more that we are educated on some of the processes that go on in the city, even though I am familiar, and I'm sure many of us are familiar with a lot of the processes that go on, but when you see it firsthand and be able to discuss that further, really helps when it does come time for budget, and so we can really make sound decisions. So again, appreciate staff taking their time to do that.
Thank you. Councilman Gerhardt?
Just for throwing out compliments, I wanted to compliment Rob Cron and his crew. We have had a very mild winter, which has been great. But another good job clearing the streets yesterday. I was out in the midst of it, and as soon as I drove into another township, I could tell a significant decline in the street condition. So I think everybody who lives in Vandalia notices the job you guys do. That's it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Lewis?
I have nothing, Your Honor, other than I would make a motion to excuse Richard Herbst's attendance at tonight's meeting.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Lewis, second by Councilwoman Farce, to excuse Councilman Herbst from tonight's meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and same symbol. Okay, so Councilman Herbst is Excused. Thank you. Anything else?
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay, and everybody, once again, has said the things that I would want to say. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting.